Hello everybody and welcome to my Pandaemonium 3 Phoenix Savage guide. The fight will start off with our usual medium hitting raid wight called Scorch Exaltation. The tank mechanic that will reoccur throughout the fight is Heat of Condemnation. Two tank soaks that tether to a random person that have to be picked up and brought away by the tanks. For that we stack behind the boss at all times to make it easy for the two tanks. Next up, the boss will cast Experimental Fire Plume that can be one of two things depending on the boss's animation. If the cast animation shows only one big orb, there will be a giant AoE baited on a random player. If the animation shows multiple fireballs, it will be two ring around the rosy type patterns of meteors falling around the edge of the platform. To dodge this, basically wait for the second one and then run into the second one to be safe. The name of the cast bars are not different, so the only tell is the animation you get. In our case we have the giant orb, for which we stack behind the boss, then run through to bait the ball behind us and have maximum melee uptime. Left or right Cinderwing will either cleave the left or right of the map 180 degrees. Super general 50-50 mechanic. Next up, Darkened Fire. This will spawn 4 purple flames on either all 4 DPS or tanks and healers. These have to be placed on the golden squares of the arena, a little cool way of Square helping you with the mechanic by putting them there. And after that the visuals get pretty messy, so let me break it down for you. We will have tanks and healers all paired with 1 DPS because it's 50-50 on who the flames drop. Now every player will get a number 1 through 8 with a puddle around them. We will place 1, 2, 3, 4 in order and then 5, 6, 7, 8 on top of them. We need to hit all dark flames with the puddle 4 times. The order we discussed earlier is very important as you get a vuln up if getting hit, and it only runs out after 3 more AoEs, so you can tank another one. After that, the dark fire will become targetable and we burst it down with our pairs clockwise. After you kill it, help other pairs kill their orb, because if they explode you will get high damage. After that, another Heat of Condemnation for the tanks, Scorched AoE, and another Fire Plume, now in combination with Devouring Brand. Devouring Brand is a plus-like shape that will quarter the whole map slowly. We always dodged it up to the left side. Sometimes the pattern did become tight though, but we could get used to it. Alternatively, you could just run northeast if it's easier with your current plume pattern. We will stack for dropping a puddle, then move away, and dodge the final Cinderwing again. Try to move behind the boss as fast as possible, as there will be coming up another tank buster with tanks having to grab lines from you. After they take their damage, there will be another experimental fire plume where we stack in the middle and run out, and after that the boss will become untargetable. The boss will disappear and relocate at a random position outside of the map and can do one of 2 different things. He can do a single breath or a double breath. If he has single breath, he will just sweep through the stage, forcing a spread on everyone. We will pre-position tank, healer, melee range, as with double breath he will sweep the outsides, forcing a double stack on the inside, so we all have a pre-positioned partner. In our case, he had 1 glowing mouth and he just sweep through the middle, and we all stand still for the spread. Phoenix will become untargetable now and spawn 4 adds. Those adds cannot die on each other. What we did is split into light parties, have tanks go north and south, and then DPS the same add, rotate clockwise, and then DPS down the other bird. During this whole adds phase there will be raining fire, which is constant damage on the party, so keep that in mind. After you kill them once, they will respawn and tether to all tank healers or all DPS. The person who is tethered to the add will get tethered to another player as well. To properly showcase the movement, I will only show 2 players. So either a tank or a DPS gets tethered. It can be the other way around. The DPS goes as far away from the add as possible to the other end of the stage, while the other person is mirroring him and going back to where the add originally was. Once you get charged on, get out of the hitbox of the add, because getting hit twice will result in you dying. Ideally, there will always be 1 person left and 1 person right from one add, and then they will just charge back and forth. Keep in mind that during this whole time you can always chip down the health of the adds, because you need to actually kill them now. Similar to how we killed the small adds, we will have 2 light parties focusing them down on cardinal positions, rotating away from each other. Communication between tanks is key here. Damaging them during the dashing part is very important, as the adds have an enrage timer and will enrage on you if you take too long to kill them. Chipping damage on them during that will become second nature to you once you've done it once or twice. To finish the adds phase, the Phoenix will cast a huge AoE that will do horrifying damage, so mitigate it properly. After that we immediately run south again, as there will be coming tank buster tethers up again. From this point on, the Phoenix will have 4 little ads around him all the time that he will place on us once or twice. Plus they auto-attack the second person on the enmity list, so the tank and the off-tank will get damaged from now on. He places the 4 ad thingies on top of either all DPS or tank healers, and we point them outwards to create a safe space in the inside of the hitbox. We just placed them on the markers that we use for the Dark Fire, and it worked out pretty fine. Now he will introduce a new combined mechanic, Experimental Glory Plume. It's a combination of Fire Plume and Dark Fire Plume. The Dark Fire Plume in this case is random, but the first normal Fire Plume is always the ring around the rosy one, where there's multiple orbs around the boss. So don't focus too much on the first one, as the second one is more important. The big black orb indicates a light party soak on either tanks and healers, and the multiple black orbs indicate a spread, which is pretty basic. This can sound pretty confusing, but if you look at the in-game footage, it's actually not that hard. You just go healer and ranged south, into the second explosion as usual, and then just stack there. Just remember melee's dodge north and ranged south. Fountain of Fire is the next big mechanic that could be a wall for some parties. Spawning towers for the healers either north south or east west, and then just soak them clockwise. At the same time, the 2 players closest to the boss get a small AoE around them, spawning an ad that you have to move away from to extend the tether, and no other player can stand in the line again. We let the tanks take first AoE, then melee, then ranged, bringing the AoE to the healer tower, and moving through the boss slightly angled to avoid overlapping with the opposing party member. Sadly, I don't have great footage on how this looks, as I'm just jumping around at the edge of the arena AoE shielding, because soaking the tower actually does extreme damage buff to your healing output, so I had just fun doubling all players' HP at all times. After that, he will conclude the phase with 2 AoEs back to back as we move towards the south again, preparing for the next same tank soaks. Keep in mind that the off-tank is getting auto-attacked by the new ads, so keep him topped as well. Now he introduces the last quote-unquote wall in this fight. If you do this phase, clearing is just a matter of time, so bear with me. He casts Firestorms of Asphodelos, which is a huge AoE that will kill you if you not mitigate properly. There's a lot going on. The boss will slice the floor into pizza slices, casting a dark orb indicating either a light party stack or a spread. Step to the edge of the pizza slice and check out what fire plume he's casting, in our case spread. Now we just step into the first AoE and then do a basic spread around the map. I know there's a lot going on the screen, so let me break down this last hard mechanic for you. The boss will spawn 3 fire tornadoes on the map, always in the same places. First we split into healer melee behind, tank ranged in front, as there's potential of light party soak, or a spread, in which case we would be able to soak as 4, or spread around the boss with full uptime on everyone. He will slice the room, we move into the safe spot, and you have a little bit of time to adjust for the spread or the stack. There will be another set of pizza slices, and then the tornadoes go off that have to be baited in a very specific way. We decided both healers go south, and the physical range takes the top tornado, tucking behind it and facing the bait away from the party. At the same time, there will be a bait close to the boss, which the 3 other DPS have to bait away from us, and the tanks have 2 light party soaks in front of the tower. Just make sure not to go too close to the fire tower, as you will be able to bait if you stand too close. This is how it looks in game. We wait for the pizza slices to go off, healers go in their positions and physical ranged as well. We tuck behind the fire tower and bait the fire away from the party. So do the other 3 DPS, meanwhile tanks grab the tethers and go to their safe spots. This explosion is not the last set of mechanics in this phase, so go to the middle and get healed up, as the boss is casting Dark Blaze Twister. This is buffing 1 tornado with a black orb and the other 2 with a donut AoE. We go in front of the orb tornado to bait puddles, then we ring around the rosy, baiting puddles all over the place, trying to get back to the buffed orb which will knock us back into the donut AoEs of the other 2 tornadoes. At the same time, the boss will cast Ashen Fire Plume, in our case a stack, which means we will get knocked back to the tornadoes, inside the AoE, and then get a group soak. Again, be careful knocking only tanks and melees to the left side and healers and physical range to the right side. At this point, you've done the hardest part, so the only thing that's missing is your loot. Now the boss will cast Death's Toll. It's the tooth-ish looking ads again. All players will get a debuff with a number. The number shows how often you have to die in the next mechanic. So to ensure that you can die up to 4 times, we will be placing the ads facing inside this time, leaving a spot of massacre in the middle of the room. Let's break it down. Every ad will do a triangle-ish shape in front of them. So if you have to die 4 times, you go in the middle of the room. If you only have to die once, you go behind a single ad. If you have to die twice, you go in an intercardinal position. Now that the TVs go off, you will die a bunch of times and you will get a debuff called HP Recovery Down. As the debuff says, you will recover less HP, but the healers have to top you off before the next mechanic to 100% HP, else you will die. That's it. At this point, he will become the good old recycling bin, casting another Glory Plume, baiting the meteor in the middle this time, ranged on south, melees north, either stack, either spread. Then he disappears and will Fire Breath again. This is not based on what he did earlier, he just does whatever he wants. Make sure to stay out of the middle as this is a knockback. Next he will copy a mechanic 1-to-1 from the beginning. He will devour the room into quarters, plus Fire Plume again. I don't think there is any difference from this mechanic than the first 2 minutes of the fight. Actually, the only reason why I died there was because I was getting bored and wanted the Enrage cast to be close for content, of course. Bait your puddles and dodge the Cinderwing either left or right, and rest the Sage please. After dodging the Cinderwing, he will just spam AoE after AoE, and I think he will do another AoE after he does an AoE, before he finally starts enraging. Thank you for watching. I hope I could help you get a grasp of this boss a little bit better. Thank you for all your humongous support, and subscribe if you don't want to miss out on future guides or other Final Fantasy XIV content. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have fun raiding.